So, for the amount of time that I've been on this channel, I've never really reviewed anime. Now, anime is also a broad term, and I could get into a lot of detail of what anime is and what isn't. But in this case, I find this to be in a different league of its own. Not anime, but it's also not just a cartoon. And I've always wanted to review this show, because it is one of my favorites, because I actually like the story. It is a little rough around the edges, but I mean, I'm going to get into this. But the most part is the creativity of the animation, and I think that this show has really solid animation for its action scenes, and I'm here to talk about it because I have liked this for a long time, and I finally want to get around to reviewing it. So, what are we going to dwell into today? Well, we are going to begin by reviewing the first season of RWBY, a different type of animated series, and something that I feel like is quite different than a lot of other stuff that's out now. So, let's get into this. So the story of RWBY revolves around the Kingdom of Remnant, of where they have this backstory to explain that men were created from nothing, of course, and then as long as they were created from dust, those men were also having to fight off these things called the creatures of Grimm, which are these huge menacing monsters, and in order to fight back, since they were created from dust, they find this kind of gem kind of thing, some form of stone, an element that they call dust, that has these different properties that make them powerful. And among the most powerful men are those called huntresses. And what they do is they fight the creatures of Grimm. It's essentially like Harry Potter, but kind of at a different thing. There is a larger source, and there's just, it comes from somewhere. This element comes from somewhere. So our story revolves around Ruby Rose, a young girl. That's a change of pace, am I right? And she wants to get into this school called Beacon and become a huntress herself, because she had heard all these stories as a young girl, and she wants to get into Beacon really bad. And so when she shows off her amazing skills to the head of Beacon, Professor Osmond, she gets into Beacon Academy. When she arrives there, she becomes friends with people, and she also makes a few enemies. And then she slowly works up the ranks in the test that she has to take, and she forms Team RWBY along with her friends Weiss, Blake, and her sister Yang. And then they are off on this magical quest to defeat this organization that has shown up and to be a very high danger to the entire rest of the kingdom. Now, for the most part, at the beginning, there isn't a very large story, and you can, by the end of Season 1, you get to understand that this story is what it is. It takes the whole season just to set up for this story, and you realize that this is what RWBY and the rest of her team is trying to do. She is trying to defeat these bad guys. Gotta get the bad guys. Get them good. But this season, I kid you not, hold on, I'm going to look at the runtime right here. This season, it has a runtime of 110 minutes. This is a very, very, very small season, and a very small show. Does it surprise me that it's that small? Not really. Some of the animation is super high quality, like, just for, like, some of the action scenes of, like, them jumping around everywhere, and it is crazy. And so, it makes sense that it's only going to be 110 minutes. But the 110 minutes wraps up into a good story to set up for the next season. And, of course, the seasons get longer and longer, but I'll get into that when I review the other seasons. But back to the story. The story itself, I feel like, is pretty solid. I think that it has a good setup, and I think that the story is fairly good. I don't think it's the best by any means, but for what it has to offer, I'd say that it's pretty okay. It's not the best. I will say that there are some points of where I was thinking, why is it like this? Why is this the way that it is? But I never thought that it was such a horrible mess of a story. I thought it was simple. Not stupid like Black Clover, but it was a simple story. And it's easy to get behind. It's not too complicated, and I really liked it. So for the most part, I thought that the story was good, and so that's about all I have to say about the story. And this is where it gets a little rougher. The characters for RWBY are an interesting group. You have Ruby Rose, who is the young girl. She's the youngest in the cast, and she is there to try to learn to become a huntress, but at the same time, she is also just trying to figure things out of like how to be a leader, and she's also very inexperienced, but she's also really strong. Can she be annoying? Kind of. She's really quirky, and that kind of is a turnoff for some people, and it's understandable. Ruby is kind of an enigma. She's kind of trying to be the Mabel Pines for this show, if you understand what I'm trying to say. And at some points, she fails miserably. But other times, I think that she is typically funny. But she's got her quirky moments that are kind of a turnoff. Weiss is the stuck-up rich girl who thinks that she is the most prim and proper person that doesn't think she has to get along with anybody, and that's annoying. But she sits up here and tries to preach to people, and there's some points of where you think that there's a progression, but for the most part, Weiss doesn't really progress a lot this season, and it kind of bothers me, because I couldn't really stand her at first. She looked cool. I liked her as a character, but for the most part, she didn't have too much progression throughout the entire season, and that was kind of troubling. To be fair, it is also a very small season. There are more seasons to get all that, but for me, I don't think that she had that much of a progression, and so it kind of bothered me for who she was, and I kind of thought that she didn't have her moment, but she could sit up there and preach, and so I thought that was a little weird, just a bit. The third character is Blake Belladonna, and she's the moody, quiet one who really doesn't think a lot about other people, or if she does, she's just really outspoken. And so Blake is a Faunus, which is basically another race in the entire world of RWBY. There's like racial issues with the Faunus and the humans, and Blake is one of them, and they are half animal, half human. So Blake is kind of moody, and she kind of just doesn't like the human race. And it's justified because she had some rough things happen to her. You soon begin to figure out what she is exactly about. For the most part, she's a mysterious, strong girl, and I thought that she was an okay character. She never really talked too much, but she did seem pretty cool, and that she was able to get along very well with people, for the most part. So I'd say that she was a decent character, but she didn't have her moment this season. She'll get there. And then finally on Team RWBY, we have Yang, the strong, confident powerhouse of the entire group. Yang's very confident, yes, and I liked her. She wasn't very funny, but she had her moments. She was just there to get the job done, and she is probably one of the coolest characters to see fly around, just because, dang, Yang's really cool. But she also has her weird moments of where she's just kind of like, she has some fan servicey stuff going on, and it's kind of like, alright, that's a little weird. But I really think that Yang was really cool. She's one of my favorite characters, and I thought that I really liked the strong, confident type for this type of show, and she delivered. And I'd say that she was probably one of my favorite characters this entire season. Now, the other characters are the characters from Team Juniper, John, Pyrrha, Nora, and Ren, which are another cool team, which had a different dynamic, but were also pretty cool. And then you had Professor Osborn and Miss Goodwitch, and then we got introduced to Roman Torchwick, and he's an interesting villain, not the best. He was kind of underwhelming, but he will probably get better. And that's okay. I typically liked him. Just for him being just basic. He's not the main villain, of course we know that. But we know that he has a role against these people. And so, I'm excited to see where he goes. And then, we have basically no one else. I don't know why I went into that. But the thing is that these characters had their annoying moments. None of them had a perfect moment. Except maybe Pyrrha. Pyrrha, to me, was just somebody who never got on my nerves and had just a good run throughout the entire season. I thought that she was probably one of my favorites just because she didn't really have a moment that just embarrassed the crap out of her. And so, I appreciated that a whole lot. And I thought that she was really cool. And so, yeah, the characters, do they make the entire series? No. But they were pretty cool, and I hope that they get better, or at least, well, we'll see. We'll see. Now this is the best part of this entire review. RWBY is not known for its characters, not known for its story, and that's why I don't talk about them as highly. What it is known for is its pretty bomb animation. Now, you know what? Here's some clips.
Oh, wait! No! I'm so hungry!
Yeah. That was pretty freaking cool. So, for the most part, RWBY has some pretty stunning animation of characters just flying around everywhere, and just like, every single character, their weapon may be a sword, or a spear, or a scythe, but it's a gun. Everything is a gun. Don't get me wrong. Everything is a gun. But these characters are sitting here flying around from place to place. It's heckin' crazy. And I'm just thinking, how do you do that? How is this possible? I don't know how it's possible, but to me, I thought that it was the coolest freaking thing in the world, and a huge reason of why RWBY is so well known. This season's animation, it had a great, stunning scenes of where you could see characters flying around and just like slashing at each other. It was cool. It was really cool. And I can't just say anything else about it because you need to go watch it. You need to watch this series because of the animation. At least the first 3 seasons. But we'll get into that later on. I will review more. I keep on saying that. Trust me, I will. But the animation is solid. Do I think RWBY is the best? No. Is it one of my favorites? Yes. Why is it one of my favorites? I don't know. But the thing is I feel like that the animation itself is just a wonder because you get to see all these characters flying around. Some of this stuff I never even thought that animators could possibly do with the show, but now it's become popular because of its animation, and I really like Rooster Teeth to begin with, but this made me like them even more. So, with the combination of its story being solid, with the characters just being okay, and the animation being pretty darn good, I'm going to give RWBY a 7.4 out of 10. And I think that's it. I think That's a good score. It's a good score. Now, if you want to buy this, there are two separate ways. The way that I bought it is I got this pretty recently for around $12. Depending on where you find it, you can find this from around 12 to 20 bucks, which is a pretty good price for a Blu-ray and for its runtime. But if you want to buy the first 3 seasons and get the entire Beacon set, you can buy seasons 1 through 3 in a steelbook. It's a little bit harder to find, but I swear it is worth the price. So I think I like this better because the spines have like the main characters on the side, and I thought that was really cool. I don't know, that's just a me thing. So that's why I bought it like this, but you do you. Do whatever you feel like. Hey, listen up. Follow me on Twitter. I think I get on there like once a year, probably. Who knows? But, I mean, you'll find me one day. In any case, I thank you guys for watching, and I really appreciate you guys. We're almost at 40 heckin' reviews, and that's pretty crazy that 2 years ago I didn't think I was going to get this many reviews out, but we're almost there. So, that'll be cool. But anyways, if you guys want to watch my other reviews, go crazy. I'll probably review RWBY more. I'm actually got a few more reviews planned, and then in May I have an awesome plan, but you guys will see that very soon. So anyway, I will see you guys in the next video.